Yeah, he's gonna play tomorrow night. Yeah.
We're gonna come out or?
No, we're gonna give no sick a game off. Not that he deserves it, just the opportunity for Coleman to play and an opportunity. He doesn't deserve it. He's understanding of the situation, and it's one more game to let him get back to 100% health.
The play Greer made yesterday where he almost scored. I mean, it was pretty high skill level there. How much you think the confidence he gained from just putting one in the other night, helped drive?
Well, he's been playing a lot more, I would say, confidently is the best way to say it. Yeah, I mean, he's making good hits. He's on top of pucks. He's using his feet to get in behind defensemen and make high-end offensive chances. So he's doing a lot of good things, and hey, we're playing good hockey again here. The last 2 games, I think we're back to playing Bruins hockey like we were for a long time. And I think that it's hard to take anyone out of the lineup. It just is.
The points still haven't been there for Craig Smith, but what have you thought of his game and the way that he's played Bertrand Marchand in particular?
Yeah, I think he continues. I think his confidence is growing because I think the last 2 games he's been on top of people. He's been doing a lot of good things in support of either those guys or when he played with Krejci and Hull against Toronto as well.
Coach, what have you thought about the impact Lindholm has had on McAvoy?
I don't know the answer to that. I haven't thought about that. I think they both enjoy playing with each other and they both support each other really well as teammates. I guess that's a question.
Do you feel he's opened up chances more for McAvoy, or kind
Well, they
of?
don't play together all that much, right?
Yeah.
They play more separate and in big moments in games we put them together. I think they read off each other offensively really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only downside that I see when they play together is occasionally they're so confident that something's we get a little risky offensively, like as far as their balance on the ice in the offensive zone. Like sometimes they'll both be outside the dots. That's not a good situation.
What's the luxury of having both of them on a team for you in terms of coaching and putting the defense together?
I think the luxury is you end up having a really good hockey team. The best teams throughout the years have really, really good decors, and we have a really, really decor. When you have 2 guys that can have a lot of minutes and play 200-foot hockey, you're really lucky because it doesn't matter what another team has, whether they have 1 line or 2 lines, you can always match up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a luxury.
Jim, kind of a big picture, almost like a point of reflection. You were open about how great you thought the situation was, whenever you got hired. How has the first half of the season exceeded your expectations?
Immensely. I didn't know players would be so receptive to new ideas because that's not usually the case, especially when they've had so much success like these guys have had. Their attitudes, their willingness to be coached is way beyond anything I thought I would have had to explain the why several times. And you have to sell what you're doing as a coach and why this will work and why this improves our chances, like whether it's offensively or defensively or whatever you're talking about. But I felt like I've only had to explain the why once. So again, it's a group that wants to be really good, and I guess for a coach, it's all you can ask for.
Did you have any moment, captains, more tenured players, where like it kind of settled you in, they almost gave you like a vote of confidence that, hey, we're open to new things?
I think back to when I first showed Bernie some of the stuff we were going to do in video, and when he got out, he was just like, yeah, that makes sense to me. I didn't really think about it. I was just like, oh boy, this is going to be fun. And then I remember the first time I sat with Margie, and he said to me, he goes, I want to know everything you want to know. He goes, I want to get better. So it's like, you don't usually hear stuff like that all the time. Like it let me know that these guys really want to be coached, and the communication that you have with these guys, like our communication is constant, not just with the captains, but even other players, you know? And they always wanna know what they can do better. They're not asking like, what's in it for me?
And one last follow-up, if I may, I understand what the expectation is, but have your expectations for what's at the end changed at all?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we're building now towards how do we get percentages better to give ourselves the best chance? And I think it allows us to experiment with different things. Like, we're playing a certain opponent, we're gonna put a certain line together to see if they can handle that situation further down the line, you know? So that's the things we're looking at now, you know? And you don't get that opportunity if you don't have this start we had, in my opinion.
Jim, when you look at the analytics reports to see how your team is trending at whatever 5, 10, 15 game blocks, what's the one number that you look at that you're curious to see, just to see how your team's moving?
Grade A chances for and against. How many of those were created, how many were given up?
And that signals to you what about the bigger teams based on what it's looking at?
I think it signals to me that we're getting to hard areas offensively and we're defending the most important area, which is right in front of our goalie. You know, I think if you win that battle, you're gonna win most of your games, because it includes special teams in there. You know, how many tough chances are your goalie seeing compared to the other team? When playoff comes, it's hard hockey, and you gotta be hard offensively, you be hard defensively. So I think that always matters. I think if you look at the teams that have a good differential there, I bet you're the teams that have the best records in the league. And then, you know, the coaching part is how do you create those, and how do you know, negate those, right? But that's the stat that lets us know if we're doing things well or not, and then we can address it.
Coach, you guys have not had a losing streak yet, and we're, what, January 17th right now? It's pretty amazing. Have there been any points where you said, all right, maybe they're going to come back down to earth a bit here, and we're going to go into a little, I don't want to say slump, but a little funk and lose a couple? Has that happened at all, and then they just surprise you again?
Well, I thought you know, I've always thought it would be healthy at some point to go through that. And quite frankly, I'm surprised we didn't go through that with the way we played in, say, December 15th through January 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a lot of games where we just weren't sharp, but our goaltenders had to be great. They were great. Offense had to carry the fact that we weren't playing well defensively. It was more defensively I think that's the biggest reason we've been consistently good is our defensive game has allowed some games where our offense hasn't been very good to get 1 or 2 goals and win those games. That has stopped us from having a slump. But we also think down the road that's going to happen. Inevitably we're going to lose 2 in a row, you think, you know.
It's 7 of the next 8 on the road, I think it is. Obviously, you swept the California trip, but is there anything about your road game that you want to look at or see improvement in or anything?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, there probably is. If I thought about, maybe I'll have a better answer for you tomorrow if I think about it. You know, like, I mean, we're 13-4 and 1, right? Or something like that.
No coach wants, you know, as you alluded to lose a couple games in a row. But how important do you feel just the adversity that comes along, you know, the urgency that comes along with that kind of experience, needing to go through that during the regular season, especially in the second half, you know, as you're sort of building towards the playoffs, just sort of battling through that?
Yeah, I think it would be, but I also like the fact that we take pride in not trying to be in that, and that then we can lean on that when it comes to playoff time, right? Like, we find ways to get better, we find ways to fight back. Good. All right, thanks.
Thank you.